do just interact. Okay, so again, a bit of a brainstorming, right? Just get your say your creative process in the right line. Should I say? If you can see that, maybe you can just text me. I'm sure you can. All right. So what I wanted to do actually was look at, again, snapshot ideas for BMH radio. I suppose I will just direct them, and possibilities for interviews, possibilities for station promos, and then the strap lines. I would have preferred if there were a little bit more, obviously, just engagement, so that I could get the correct connection with the correct audience, right? All right, so I'm going to do generic. Obviously, I say generic talk topics that could apply to, let's say students, the BMH listener. And again, what I'm going to do is kind of like spiral some topics, or some random just thoughts that come to mind. So I'm going to use the things that we circled around the composite listener. For example, I'm just going to banner them. One can be with relationships. The other can be with, I suppose, school studies, right? Studies, right? Right, so the other one should be about family life, family and friends. Right, okay. The other one should be with your, it's an online presence, so your online persona or footprint. Okay. And then let's do 5 would probably, we can just, let's go with something like health, right? Health and mental, so mental illness, right? Yeah. So with relationships, for example, so let's talk about intimate relationships. So you and a partner, whatever it may be. Let's go with like something easy, things that you and your partner always argue about. Always argue about. Okay. More definitively so. So triggers. We can talk about triggers. Triggers. Like no man's land, no man's or woman's land, right? So in other words, where you just do not go within a relationship, or within your own personal relationship, right? We can, and I'm just going to do one more here. It's things that you argue about. Let's say who wins, who wins. We can talk about that. So is it a thing about that whole argument where men will stereotypically just say yes? To what extent? Maybe with your girlfriend, right? School or studies, it would be like, for example, let's say advice from professionals, right? Professionals, advice from professionals, how to tackle the upcoming formative week. So that will be one there. Friends and family. So I was going to go with butting heads with your. So okay, maybe ways, maybe I would say surprising ways. Surprising ways you found out that you are more like your parents than you originally thought. Fix that spelling now in just a second. Originally thought. Right. Again, just spin, just what is it? Spitballing some ideas there. Right, online persona footprint. Okay, so set the last I would say confrontation, online confrontation. I had confrontation. I had that didn't go the way I planned. More and more better so how to uh, uh, let's say build a uh, less toxic less toxic uh, engagement culture online, okay, within social media space. Media space. Okay, so mental health or normal fitness or health awareness, right? So, for example, okay, the 2024 trends and tips for a healthy uh, winters, winter, yeah, winter. In other words, just trying to ways that you can avoid going for the flu shot, or obviously suffering from the traditional flu that's going to come. And I'm going to just kind of stop there for the moment. We'll get to some others in the moment. Okay. In a moment, should I say? All right. Can you do any indication so that I can see that you're fine with or you understood? I'm guessing you did understand, but any indication? Oh, there we go. All right, thumbs up. Let's go with emojis. Great. All right, so I'm going to come back to those, and we'll break in and out of that particular exercise. But what I want to do is first have a look at this. It's a PDF document. You don't need a copy of it. It's something that's shared with the short course students. It's a great way to this particular part here, which is discussing like a role on air, is and what or how you should approach topics, etc. Very from a very umbrella, again, very broad aspect perspective, right? Is quite helpful again, just in terms of trying to get your mind in the right space. So we know that you obviously, as your purpose or one of your roles as a radio host or presenter, is at the end of the day like a facilitator, like a moderator of things that are going in and things that are going out. So input and output, kind of like a black box feel, where the black box is, I don't know, I think it's the concept that records everything that happens on a plane, right? But we don't know what happens in the black box. The listener doesn't have to also know what the black box is. That's you processing, prepping, producing, and obviously executing what it is that you need to do and what you've decided to do, like on the show, within obviously considering all the different elements. So be it phoners, be it standard, let's say like housekeeping, be it standalone features, be it standalone links as well, running the news elements, spots, etc., competitions, right? So if we look at talk topics, on a broad scale, and again, looking at it, obviously is obviously then further defined with your target market and obviously the time of the day of the week, and obviously a week in month to year, right? It obviously depends and influences what you're going to do. But we want to look at, let's say, current affairs. I want to look at ideas that can be drawn from different sources, many different sources, which you obviously have access to because, like we're in 2024, including political affairs, international affairs, regional or local developments, scientific breakthroughs, and new books, for example, obviously not limited to just what is over here, right? And again, a thought process for what we might move back into that little snapshot document and start pushing, let's say, interviews or promotions, whatever it may be, right, that are centered around everything, again, within the listener's life. All right, so the program, your show, deals with a specific subject matter, right? Again, targeted from angles that are related to not just obviously the current events, but how the current events obviously fluctuate and are relevant within that particular listener's life, right? What's important is, again, we've said that before, like the listeners are actually the best source of trying to understand or trying to create different ideas for your show, right? And what we say is, again, that observe, ask, and kind of research methodology from Tracy Johnson that was in a previous, obviously, lecture, right, in building the composite listener. So just without not doing like a throwaway to that or whatever, just so it's a little bit less on the surface, really delving into there first if you're struggling for what it is that you're going to say on the show, just ask someone that is obviously part of your target audience. Just ask them what's going on in their life. What do they think of this particular matter? Or what are their stances or their opinions on something that's quite either controversial or, again, subjective in a large degree, to get some reactions. And then from there, you can actually draw more specific approaches too. All right, encouraging expression, right? That's one of your goals, right? Amongst many others, right? Allowing the listeners to be heard and again, voice their opinions in the way that they actually have the opinions. So not trying to influence them or bully them or kind of pressurize them into feeling or thinking or acting or reacting in a certain way, but really at the end of the day, like giving them that platform. You will obviously, so you will obviously pre-call or pre-fade them, so you will have them off air. If you are going to put them to air, you will there decide, listen, yeah, this is the type of listener I actually want. They've got good things to say. They got a great personality, insightful, very expressive, whatever it may be. Many things can constitute a great listener to air. And again, also those voice notes that you might also decide to play out or even read some of the text responses on social media if you have some kind of tie-in. Ideally, what we want to do is kind of use social media as a sidebar to springboard ideas that become dynamic, that show a larger dimension of the listener's like perspective for something. So I always say it's an easy example, but we can do it in many different ways. The first thing would be like a poll, because a poll is a great conversation starter for many other things that we can, again, just like propel off, right? But we know then what people are thinking, what they're feeling in terms of like majorities and obviously minorities for that particular poll result. It can also be quite detailed. You can give like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 options as well, or it can, like I said, be a conversation starter at a yes or no or a whatever it is, like those polar opposites, right? But again, we want to be able to, at any one point, make sure that as best we can include the listener instead of make private or present private, quote unquote, content pieces that really just involve us. Even if we are doing an interview, it's with the listener in mind. Obviously, what they want to ask, what they should know, why this person is particularly on air. And so on and so forth. Right. Providing information, offering in-depth exploration or insight into current issues with particular angles. So the same thing, as we said before, will have different relevance to different audiences, again, at different times. For example, we can have focus on health, might invite experts to participate in discussions on maybe sex education in schools, and again, the list can go on. And so we shall do, for example, when we're looking at interviews, right? Possible interviews that would make sense for this target market here at BMH, right? Giving instructions, so presenting advice on a specific topic. For example, financial talk shows might offer guidance on investing, or invite experts to give an overview of new business regulations, etc. Right. So if we are not at any one point, we are not experts on anything. Yes, maybe life to a certain extent, but we only want to validate even our own life experiences. We share because we want to share alongside like a listener's experiences that, again, kind of correlate with ours or in line with ours, whatever it is that we are speaking about. At the end of the day, like the expert professional is either an expert professional, so like we said, like someone that you're interviewing, or the expert professional is the listener because they are giving you an expert experience on what it is that you're asking them about. So their obviously input is extremely valuable. All right. So let's just look at the way that we view callers as well the treating callers just on another hand. So just over and above, I'm not even going to go through this one. A generic way, general way, should I say, of treating a listener or seeing a listener is that you are nothing without them. You're obviously because and that's not to kind of demonize them or dragonize whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you are nothing without a listener. You can broadcast your heart out and you have a great show, but if no one's listening, no one actually cares how great or how rubbish you actually are. So a good kind of ethic in approaching your show is always think of one listener at a time. And it's something that I'll continuously repeat because you'll put value in gaining that one loyal listener who will be there the next show and the next show and the next show. And then will also follow you around. Let's say you go from one show to another, not likely from one station to another, but we're creating a community. Obviously, as we've said before, but again, how do we build that relationship? By considering that we're not trying to aim it at 100 different callers to be fans of this particular show, but rather if we approach again that individual, it's a more personal. We also treasure and cherish their participation and their obviously support and like quote unquote, like I say, joining the club, your club, right? Your on-air club. And then you will build listeners, like I say, a large, good, loyal listenership over time. Okay, so that's when I'll just draw off this particular PDF. So I'm gonna close that, and then I'm gonna get to today's lesson. Just give me a second. I'm just gonna share off here. Hmm. Second. Come on. Second. Really? You stop. It's like, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. As I just said, they just kicked me out there. Nice. Anyway, let me just see that it's still recording. Okay. All right. So apologies for that. Let's go let's see. All right. I'm just gonna go to first a short, just a short little broadcast. Where did I get this thing now? The sound. Just get this. And it is. Just give me a second. Just get this properly. War of the Worlds sample. Right. Okay. So we just start off with this. I'm not sure if we did speak about this or reference this. I know that I have read some class. Well, I mean, this War of the Worlds, which you're going to see in just a moment. Just give this thing a second, right? That Orson Welles did many, many years ago.
We are bringing you an eyewitness account of what's happening on the Wilmuth Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. We now return you to Carl Phillips at Grover's Mill.
Ladies and gentlemen, my aunt. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am, back of a stone wall that adjoins Mr. Wilmer's garden. From here, I get a sweep of the whole scene. I'll give you every detail as long as I can talk and as long as I can see. More state police have arrived. They're drawing up a cordon in front of the pit. About 30 of them. No need to push the crowd back now. They're willing to keep their distance. The captain's conferring with someone. Can't quite see who. Oh, yes, I believe it's Professor Pearson. Yes, it is. Now they've parted, and the professor moves around one side, studying the object, while the captain and two policemen advance with something in their hands. I can see it now. It's a white handkerchief tied to a pole. Flag of truce. If those preachers know what that means, what anything means. Wait a minute, something's happening. A humped shape is rising out of the pit. I can make out a small beam of light against a mirror. What's that? There's a jet of flame springing from the mirror, and it leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Oh, Lord, they're turning into flames. Now the whole field's caught up by the woods, the barns, the gas tanks of the automobiles, spreading everywhere. Coming this way now, about 20 yards to my right.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from Grover's Mill. Evidently, there's some difficulty with our field transmission. However, we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity. In the meantime, we have a late bulletin from San Diego, California. Professor Indelkoffer, speaking at a dinner of the California Astronomical Society, expressed the opinion that the explosions on Mars are undoubtedly nothing more than severe volcanic disturbances on the surface of the planet. We continue now with our piano interlude.
Right. Okay. So, again, obviously, mega fan of what Orson Welles did there so long ago. Just going to stop that share. Right. I'm going to go to the actual, let's go to the slides right now. Why did I start off with Orson Welles? Again, just to kind of put that into perspective, because now we're going to continue, obviously, with creating great radio. Like, this was done. So as you hear, it's a radio drama, right? And it's an extensive radio drama. I think it goes on for about an hour, a bit longer than that, right? Haven't actually listened to the entire broadcast. It's fascinating as well, just because of the mass level of production. I'm just going to make this a little bit so you can actually just see that a little bit more. You'll see that, right? Anyway, but the mass production that you also just heard, just in that little sample that I just picked out there, you hear this kind of like little mumbles in the background of like kind of the atmosphere on the streets where this guy is particularly broadcasting, like field reporting from. It was, and again, that very dramatic but very realistic, obviously, kind of stop, that cut off in transmission. Everything so well orchestrated, right? And it was, when it was broadcast, and again, if you've heard the story before, it's great to just hear it again, because again, we are going into storytelling. And if you could achieve this back then, there was pandemonium in the streets, genuinely in the streets. Everyone, because in 1938, depended on the radio for all the information. I think this was like, isn't it just exactly when World War II also started? I think it was dated in 1939. I'm not sure, right? But anyway, everything was dependent on radio. All your information, all your entertainment, like all your news, all your whatever it may be, right? Because we didn't have television introduced just yet. And the thing is, everyone was going to quote unquote kind of like buy canned food and didn't know what was going on, and reported kind of hysteria to the police, everything. He did intend that would happen, but it was not to that extent. He didn't know, and that obviously the team didn't know that it was going to go like completely out of hand. But such a massive, as you saw in the video, he got like obviously awarded for it, and still, how many years later, nearly a century later, we look back and say, yes, like it. We like, can we even try to emulate that? I'm guessing today you'd probably land up in court for many, 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 many infinite and like reasons, right? So probably no one would risk something like that, but we can push pretty far on radio and really kind of again think out the box. It's not always as easy to think out the box, right? When I say so, um, yeah, it is. Um, it's our nature just to kind of think kind of linear in a linear fashion or manner, and thinking out the box. I think most of the time is stimulated when you see someone else think out the box because you're not being pushed like actively, and we have to move proactively when we are deciding no, we want to cross a border, like I say, push a boundary, do something kind of special, and doing something special like your show, quote unquote, to make it uh, warm and fuzzy, really should be that kind of approach. So, like today, I really want to just spend some time, obviously, in the studio, spend some time with my listener, and then be like, I want to do something that they remember, right? Something that they can just say, well, it was time well spent, whatever it may be. So again, kind of understand that theatre, the mind, has such a massive impact because we fill in, the listener fills in so many blanks, obviously willingly, because that's what you do when you listen to audio, and we help them along the way. We got to paint that picture, and at any one point, if there are, so what we call is Swiss cheese, like that Swiss cheese content that I have again also mentioned before, there's holes everywhere, and you're lost at any one particular point in the conversation. Be like, no, this isn't. The prep is all over the place. They don't. I mean, listener doesn't use the word prep, but this link is all over the place. Your prep isn't structured. It doesn't have a direction, and it's just not like, it doesn't make any sense. So you're kind of like making no sense. So nonsense, right? Um, at the end of the day, here we go. Content is just data until personalities make it come alive, right? You can go and construct great content that has a couple of dimensions, that has obviously like a good perspective, good, like I say, what is the word? An objective view that includes uh, two or three different points of view. We can include sound bites. We can then include obviously our own self to add that extra dimension. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't come alive, like I say, on air, if you put it all together, it's not worth the work. It doesn't make a difference, right? So you got to get it right from start to finish, or attempt your best attempt to get it right from start to finish. So in other words, from the conceptualization phase to the content creation phase, so the prep, and then to obviously the execution on air. So we're going to look at uh, your greatest storyteller in your life, right? Was it your mom, your dad, was your grandmother, sister, best friend, grade one teacher, maybe? Try to think of your teachers that you remember their names, right? Specifically because they made an impact in your life. So you'll think of, I can obviously personally, my grade one teacher, my standard one teacher, so grade three teacher, my grade seven teacher. And I think it kind of stopped there. High school, they were rubbish, just to be quite honest. But anyway, these particular teachers were great storytellers, especially my grade three teacher. She was the best, man. Saw her even the other day. And I just said to her once again, man, those are some of the best times at school. Like when she would read, but I think it was the faraway tree, and she was, yeah, we were infatuated with back then. Anyway, but she was so good, man. Just as a in general, your mom or your dad, your grandmother, your sister, etc. So I'm just gonna quickly, um, Jill, do you? So are you also in the library? Where are you listening, or where are you watching? Should I say this from? Is it home?
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm at home.
Okay. because Tierney is in the library, so she's listening passively or watching passively. Okay, tell me about your one of your greatest storytellers in your life and why. Why are they considered great to you?
I don't have a teacher, but it's a friend of mine who once told he's not a storyteller per se, but there's this one particular story he told us as a group of friends, and it was amazing because of the way he actually used his hand gestures and used his funny impressions,
Mhm.
just the way he executed the whole story. So
An,
he's not particularly a storyteller.
an immersive experience, perhaps, maybe, somewhat interactive. Okay, are you sure you don't? So genuinely, your mom, your dad, anyone within your family circle never told you some great stories?
No.
Are you the storyteller?
I doubt it though. I doubt it.
Okay. All right. You shall you all will aspire to be great storytellers, please. The big thing. Okay, so let's move in and out. Thanks for the feedback on that. Um, we'll move in and out. Again, the story, like if a story sits with you and you can remember that moment where you felt it, you felt the story. It's about connection that this particular person. We just quickly accept this. He's coming in, right? All right. So the thing is, again, like it's about memory. It's about connection, and if you can kind of again relate that to what we want to do on air, it's exactly obviously the same thing. That particular listener will remember and will be, like I say, immersed within your, I suppose, the journey that you take them through in that particular content piece, whatever it may be. I'm not going to mention all the spectrums once again of what content can consist of, right? But once again, connection is the obviously the centerpiece of what we're trying to do here. So how do you build that connection? And we will talk more about that as we move along throughout all these lessons. But connection comes from being obviously a human being at the end of the day. If you are some kind of you make someone feel uncomfortable, or you are uncomfortable, or you say things that sound weird. And I say weird in the way that you're saying them. It's kind of rehearsed, or it's kind of theatrical, or it's kind of whatever it is. Anything that doesn't feel quote unquote normal. The listener gets obviously agitated, one alienated another, and also there is no they're disconnected at that point. So there is no, again, that feeling of connection means like I'd rather be somewhere else. I don't really care about what is going on, what you're busy saying at any one particular point, right? It really is how do you, and again, like you must measure it. I think is your next best thing is how you measure it with the people that are around you. Look at how you are connecting with the people that you're most comfortable with. So again, 10 to 1, whoever is equates to your family. I don't know, obviously, the different dynamics, right? But is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it like your sister, brother, son, daughter, whatever it is? How do you behave around them? Because you should be at your most comfortable and they know every aspect around you, so or about you. So you shouldn't be able to be, I'm saying, to fake in front of them, and nor should you want to either. So that's the most open, I'm saying, open environment that you can possibly probably think of yourself in. Then the next best thing is like your friends, I guess. As friends are an extension of some aspects of who you are. Like that's why you build friend circles, because these people are familiar and similar in trains of thought, behavior, personalities, whatever it may be. Not and all, right? But maybe or any of those things that I mentioned. And then see how you behave and also what you talk about. And are you a great storyteller with them? I'm guessing 10 to 1, you probably are, because once again, there's a reason why you are close friends and you've built a rapport at the end of the day. That's what you want to be able to do. You need to aim for a friend or an extended piece of your family with a listener. And the same way you got to that point is the same way you need to get to that point with a listener. Kind of again, very, very on the surface, very careful in the beginning. Don't kind of overload them or alienate them with your mass personality or mass opinion, etc. As I think you've learned in the last year, that kind of that percentage that you grow through different phases in a show, whatever it is. But then you would get to know them. Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thanks. And you? What are you doing here? I'm doing this. In that kind of line of thinking, like you start off at any one given point at the very beginning, right? I'm saying with any one given person, excuse me, right? So why are these people great storytellers, right? Natural talent, skills, obviously. They just naturally they are born with the talent to be able to convey a story and obviously evoke emotions in someone else because they have gift for the gab, right? Okay. They all had one thing in common. They were present and invested in the story, and there was passion for sharing, for wanting to share that story with you. So again, I'll always revert back to my mom because she really is I'm saying she's a great storyteller, but the way also that she tells stories, she's very, very, very personal. And it's almost, again, like she's talking like almost through you, I say, to you, not at you, and through you. You feel everything. Like we feel everything that she says because she says it with such conviction, right? And detail and emotion and that kind of like reactive emotion as she moves along any one particular story. So be it between her and my dad, and they're genuinely fighting over the most like benign thing at checkers, right? She'll give you the full rundown, right, without boring you at the end of the day. Okay, let's look at some things that you should not do as a presenter. Obviously, a big arrow to Sasha Martiningo, 10 to 1. You probably don't know who he is, which is, as you can see there, with a little bit of the little pop up, that little tag. I don't know what the thing is called anyway. But he, amongst many others, and we all get fired, like I say, but this was a direct, this was a because he did something on air. So, like, that contract ends immediately because of that behavior. And it's arrogance. It's an arrogant behavior that really is clear that this presenter, like many others, believe at any one point that that listener is a slave to whatever it is that they are doing. You will enjoy this. I can say whatever. I can say it to whoever, and I can say it in whatever manner I would like. So that very self-absorbed, me, I, and not you in any way, right? You can go and you can click on that to go and have a look at that particular expulsion of him, right? We just it's not even that we tolerate it, man. And you can say, but controversial jokes are on air all the time. Yes, but they're controversial, but they are welcoming. I'm saying to you, they are not offensive in any direct manner to the listener. They may be shocking, like I say, in terms of nature or content or approach or whatever it is. They're very kind of like a presumed tactless way that they're going to that they sell themselves on air, and people indulge in obviously whatever it may be in them. But the moment you cross the line, just like you cross the line with anybody, right? They're not they especially they consider you once again, quote unquote, that stranger. So you've done all this work to become, quote unquote, their friend, to become that boy or girl, the guy or girl next door, as we keep on saying. And you can, from that immediate, like I said, first, that very interpersonal relationship you've created, they will immediately ostracize you as a complete stranger because you are. At the end of the day, you genuinely are someone that they don't know and they don't have to care about in any any kind of way. What things do we not allow on air? Inside jokes, because it's really irritating to listen to 2 or 3 people that, like, what am I listening to here? I don't get it. I don't get what you're talking about. You guys are laughing about something that clearly I had to be there. And you can't say to a listener, oh, clearly you had to be there, and then keep on laughing. It's really, again, is it inclusive? No, it's exclusive, which is what we don't do. Housekeeping overload, reflecting disrespect for the generation of their own content creation. So you're going to come on air and all you're going to talk to me is about what just played and what station this is, and tell me the weather, and then just throw forward to another triple play or quadruple play or 30-minute music sweep. Like, then what are you doing there? Like, that's lazy. You haven't done prep for your show. Even if we say to you, listen, like, this is a generic show, you need to not talk, quote unquote, right? You can still do very well, like very so well-bodied links by researching cross promotions, specifically across the station, across station promotions, across podcasting that the station obviously has generated, across social media activity, kind of like giving props to certain things in the area and community. You can do so much with a quote unquote a generic show, to show that you have some kind of investment in the work that you are doing. You got a job to do and you're doing it. You never talk about station politics, right? Because we don't, they don't want to know if there's discomfort between, maybe now you're not going to talk about, let's say, the drive presenter, or one of the presenters that had a fight with the station manager or someone in technical, whatever it is. We don't need to know that. We, like, no listener cares, and it shows kind of immaturity on your part. No, full-blown immaturity, genuinely. We want to know about stuff that concerns us, not you, right? Okay. Accessible to the entire audience. It doesn't belong on air. And reflecting the listener means engaging in a language of intimacy and sharing values as friends, right? So don't tell them that you're wonderful. Let them decide for themselves. Don't say you have this amazing show coming up and there isn't an amazing show coming up. Just say that you got this great interview because you know it's going to be great, whatever it is. It's a great guest. You can go that far, right? But you can't over exaggerate basically false promises, right? And at the end of the day, they want to be able to remember your name on their own. Don't keep drilling down. For example, that's very egotistical to constantly say, oh, it's Chris, it's Chris, it's Chris, 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 every single link. Man, we know we don't care. If they don't register, they don't care, right? That it's Chris talking or whoever, right? So don't tell them that you're funny. Maybe you should just show them instead, right? Okay. For a second, are there any questions about that in particular? Okay, before then I move on, I'm gonna stop the share. I'm gonna come back and forth between this. So for the 2 of you that just arrived a little later, busy on is a snap content exercise throughout this lesson. Here it is, it should be showing now, right? So again, it's a snap content lesson, content exercise, excuse me. So 5 talk topics, 5 possible interviews. Now this is again for BMH radio, right? 5 station promo ideas, 5 strap lines in accordance to the previous 2 lectures where it was mentioned. Strapline is a tagline, somewhere that we can ID the station, with obviously produced imaging, etc. This is obviously just what I came up just on the go for these different sectors, or these different aspects of the composite listener: relationships, school studies, family, friends, online persona, health, mental awareness. for a little bit of consistency, let's try and have some suggestions for each one of these as interviews. Okay. Right. So so let's go from one person to another. Are you in the library or you on your own? So can you speak for input? Yes, no, no, yes. So at this point, Jewel, because you're, oh, okay. Now you're all you're thumbing up. I don't know why you're thumbing up, but okay, thumbs up back. Right. So just I know that Jewel, you can talk. Unfortunately, fortunately, like you're going to have to contribute to this. Okay. All right. So tell me, who would you interview? Who would be a great interview for BMH Radio, right? Which you'll be doing your shows on when it comes to relationships. Um, yeah, relationships. Who would you like to, or who would you think would be a great interview for relationships under the banner of, right? For what would you want to specifically chat to this person about? Go ahead, let me know. So go ahead. Um, Again, Jewel, I'm going to direct it to you.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm still thinking.
Oh, it's okay. Rather think out loud because the awkward silence is something else.
Right.
Oh, I see. Thanks. Now I'm getting the messages. Gianni. Okay, so you're saying, what about a couple on campus? And thanks for the story about your grandmother. I'll share in just a moment. Um, so, so a couple on campus. What about a couple on campus? Just so that others are not lost. I'm just getting text messages on WhatsApp, right? For those that are in the library, right? So, Jewel, while we get those responses, what do you think? Really, there's so many people that you can talk about. Uh, um, you can get a couple on campus. Again, in what context? I would have to say what context, uh, because it's important there. How they manage their relationship and being a student at the same time. Okay, so maybe okay, I'm going to put that up. So let's just unite Bennett under. Let me just complete about this. So let's say with relationships, um, could use a maybe we could compare. We could have two different, say two different types of couples, right? Uh, different types of couples on campus, right? So we're talking about the dynamics within the couple. We're talking about this. It might be an open relationship and a closed relationship, or a What is it? Is it monogamy? Right? Monogamy versus obviously traditional. We could also talk about maybe there's. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. I know nothing about relationships. Just saying. So it is like if the female is older, is that still a thing? I mean, is that even a thing anymore? Where the guy should be older all the time, so we can have a bit of diversity within these two different couples, but they should ideally be two polar opposites, so we can have a broader discussion, have a applied discussion about how these two couples face student and personal life. Okay. uh Face maybe is not a nice word, like approach or whatever it is, or whatever is a bit better. Right. Okay, would be a good one over there. Let's do something school slash studies. Right. What is a possibility for an interview for schools or studies. And don't obviously take my springboard here. Idea advice from professionals how to tackle the upcoming formative week. Personally, just in terms of that, like a nice group, like what is it, a panel discussion, right? From different lecturers, maybe, like all together, because I don't know what other lecturers say when they give you advice on how to approach, their particular formatives. Maybe we can get some common ground together, and give a bit more of a fruitful, like a more valuable conversation. Anyway, sidebar. I know that one's an interview. Let's do another interview here. School or studies. Any suggestions? Suggestions here. Okay, now you can go, Jewel. Yeah, okay. Another one from Tierney. Get the board of directors in to discuss careers. The board. Uh, Tell me so in what context would the board be? Because we must say that they are legitimate. I'm saying they're the correct person to talk about which aspect of whatever it is you want to talk about, in this case, careers, right? So how does the board of directors or the director of our board, whatever it is, become, you understand, important to a discussion on career aspects? For me, it's a at this point it's a little bit disjointed, right? It's disconnected in terms of from the one to the other. I need a bit of a bridge from there, um, fill a gap between that one, obviously the board and the director, him or herself, and then the conversation of careers. You can go ahead and answer. In the meantime, Jewel, tell me.
I was thinking maybe graduates because they've
What?
been in the
Yeah, let me shut up.
okay. Graduates because they've been in the same positions that we are currently maybe dealing with, or do you get me? Like people
Would you
that have
listen? Would you listen to the graduates? In all honesty, I mean, like, let's say they give you all the warnings of whatever they went through, how they failed, like this. Would you listen to them?
sure, why not? Because I mean, I could
Why
get
not?
something beneficial from them. It's like asking your grandmother about what to expect when you turn 30 or when you turn 40 or whatever, something like that. Someone that could give you, I don't know.
Okay, I think that only works. I think you must be. It'll work better if it's more specific. So, for example, you're going to get like a rags to riches story, right? So zero to hero type thing. So someone that continuously failed, for example, you're going to find that person, and then you're going to look at their transformation story, that journey that because that becomes more real. Do you understand? Someone that decided at some other point, this was the trigger, this was what the moment they changed whatever it was, this was how they were before, and this is why they were on both sides of the spectrum. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that would make the interview way more interesting because it's kind of like a human interest story, or
Okay,
I don't know. Hard,
let's put
I
that.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's again, when it's more specific, every time it's more specific. So when you say angle, just an angle, we need an angle to generic approaches to content. You understand? So everything we'll constantly talk about, or constantly, we'll never stop, right? But we need to talk about different things about the same stuff. So different things about the same things. So we'll always talk about health. We'll always talk about digital. We'll always talk about, you understand, school studies. But we need to continuously find new angles to be able to say, cool, this is what I want to do, and what the listener will say is cool today, just to kind of like just reaffirmate what I'm saying now. Okay, so chat to a graduate, right, who shares their story right? Okay. From quote unquote, okay, 0 to hero, right? From 0 to hero. So look for someone that went through a process of failing uh, on many on many occasions, or in many on many occasions, right? On many occasions, okay, uh, made a what's the word? A conscious, huh? Conscious. I think that conscious, uh, second, conscious choice at an ultimate low. One man, right? Ultimate low, uh, uh, and moved, uh, moved forward, onwards and upwards. Really, to go cliche, onwards and upwards. Okay, uh, uh, to their own success story. Okay, all right. Let's do a third. Let's do a third conversation that centers around family and friends. Okay, so any suggestions? Family and friends. Who would you interview here? Natando, are you able to? So, can you switch your mic on? Are you in a place that can or cannot? Still getting nothing. Okay, cool. Uh, all right. So, again, looking at WhatsApp, Jewel, go ahead, try. Come on, you're killing me.
So, ish. Wouldn't there's
It can be a bad idea. It's a quote unquote a bad idea. It's just an idea. It's just called an idea. And then we can get to a better idea if that's what you're concerned about. So go ahead, try.
I mean a random student would work for this because it's I don't know, it's typical. Everyone has okay, not everyone maybe, but I would assume that every student has friends and family. So a random student wouldn't work for an interview.
Mm-mm. No.
No.
Kind of think of what. Tell me. Think of. Okay. Tell me some things that are happening in your life. You don't have to be private. It's fine if it makes you feel uncomfortable. But tell me some things that are happening with your friends and or your family. Just some things that we can, so we can springboard some ideas. Possibly a great interview that we know is going to help within these areas. Tell me what's happening with friends, just in general. Like, do you have a great social structure? I'm saying, and a good like social life with them.
Not really. I kind of feel like we're drifting apart because I recently moved from my um what old neighborhood to a new remote. Yeah.
Okay. And
Well,
why are you drifting apart? Like, besides obviously the demographic, wherever you are, like the physical location, do you have things to talk about? I mean, do you phone often? Do you connect often, or was it situational?
we don't even talk anymore. I mean, I it's been like a few months since I've seen them and no texts, nothing.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay, what about family?
family.
What's happening in your life with family?
I think you just kind of um getting a feel of the new place and I don't know. Renovation, nothing interesting, to be honest.
Okay, let's do something. I'm going to do something quite simple just to show you. Like we can start off like something like Mother's Day. Agree, which is coming up. Agree, right?
Sure.
And we can feature obviously like celebs with their moms. It's very overdone, but we always love it. Agree? Want to see what the mom, like the mom is and the celebrity is. If they like, so we can pick a musician, we can pick an actor, and we can pick, I don't know, like we say, like a social media socialite or whatever it is. I don't know. I would go for I would go with an athlete, right? For example, right? That all are within like the trend space of a student, so they know these people specifically, and we could create some really great moments, right, with their moms. Can have like little like how well do you know your mom, or how well does your mom know you? You can do like fun like a fun game on there. Um, Again, we always love the comparison between, we love the arguments between that type of stuff, right? We also love to hear like a mom that's super proud of their quote unquote baby, right? Okay. Happy with that one? You can say just a yes because you are, right? Okay, right. Let's try it with online. Online, who would we interview for online? This is very easy. Like it's genuinely, it's so straightforward, the options here. What are you struggling with online? What would you know? What are you trying to learn online at the moment? Give me, go ahead.
How to put myself out there as a brand. I think that's what I'm kind of struggling with now.
So who would have the answer to that?
Hmm.
Like a social media strategist, eh? Agree?
Okay, sure.
Do you not think so? How to make money from it. So influencers. So that's a good one, right? So uh how to, I'm gonna put both down, practically monetize, right? My current brand, right? So we can chat to selective influencers. I I warn I, I warn and say against that only because when we do chat to these influencers, we have to make it very clear what worked for them, what like what works for them works for them, right? Okay, right, works for them. And maybe we can find a common ground between three very different influences, right? To start building a little bit of a DIY structure here, right? The other one was, as you said there, a social media strategist, a strategist, maybe specifically uh, helping us, and there's better wording for it, as you know, helping us with all the current don'ts. Don'ts, right? All the current online brand, also so digital brand don'ts. One more, and I'll continue and I'll come back. Health, mental awareness. Okay, let's have suggestion. And don't just, you can say a doctor, that's fine. I mean, but you must be specific, and that person needs to tell you something specific. So as I said there, Like a social media strategist can talk to us for days, for years, right? We're going to ask them all the questions under the sun, but we don't want that. Tell us something very specific so we can do something very specific with the information that you give us. I just need to get a bottle of water. Just give me a second. Yeah. All right. So what? Yeah. Suggestion 4. Go ahead, Jewel. Say. Telling me.
Um, uh, how about
Just
our our in-house counselor at school? There's this guy that posts kind of like there's a tab, student awareness tab on Cole Campus, so we get that guy to share some. I don't know.
I need to spell counselor. Uh, I see also the text coming through. That we have to. Like this person is. You said it's a guy can speak about anything and everything. What would you like to ask this particular expert professional when you have them in studio?
Um, I don't know.
Come on. So just think about your own what you're surrounded by. I'm saying what you can see with other students or you yourself because you are a student. What would this person help you with right now if you had to ask for some help?
Right now, hmm,
Hmm, you can't be fine. Come now. There's got to be something.
it's
Some
that I kind of feel like I'm putting myself out there, you know, my vulnerable side out there too much. But anyway, maybe what to look forward to because this year it's my last year, so I don't know, something like that. What to look forward to.
accounts is going to help you with that. I'm not being I'm not I'm disclaiming. My tone doesn't suggest uh like derogatory. It's not derogatory. I'm saying, what does that mean? Like, how is that person going to help you with what's coming up next? Is it to inspire you? Is it, uh, is that the thing? I see there's also assignment time management and stress. I'm going to put here, so let's be particular. Um, so stress, how I would do it. Stress 101. Okay, from 1 to 10. Where are you at? You at and what to do about it. Right. I'm going to build a little bit on what you said there. So the counselor should be able to help you on like you personally. So how to how to realistically picture your current self, your current current self in the real world, right? Handy. So, in other words, this professional, this psychologist, on campus psychologist, is going to say, look, like these are aspects that you need to be considering. Again, red flags, whatever it may be, and this is how they will actually look in the real world. Should I place you, copy and paste you in a certain industry? This is going to be the outcomes of your actions or your behavior or your attitude or you understand that type of stuff, right? Um, Agreed? Happiness? Right. For the moment, I'm going to just stop there. We'll come back with some station promos. Uh, and we shall move. I'll give you a break at 2. Let's just continue with the lesson. Right. Okay. So let's continue here. Again, connecting with the audience, reflecting the listener. So replace the word I with the word you. Right. So again, I was doing a pre-recording for the second years, and man, I was just playing this, not a random. I just found it obviously on YouTube to kind of say like these are the mandatory do's and don'ts of a presenter, right? And we all speak this. When I heard this man going on about stuff that they do, I think it was in America, right? Everything that this guy was saying is literally what we preach, and there's no surprise to it. I'm saying the basics of radio, and why, when he's mentioned it once again, because I was literally across from a presenter who keeps using the word you guys or the phrase you guys, and it is incorrect, right? Not again. Again, I say, why is it incorrect? Because it's the way that you decide how to approach a situation, approach your, like, how you are on air, what you are doing on air, how this product sells on air, like who this music is for. And when you think of many people, you will aim to please many people at the same time, which you're going to say to me, but that's what you're doing because many people are listening. But it's not. You're pleasing one person individually at the same time, right? And so, and again, everything that I just mentioned above literally changes. Everything changes the moment you start using the word you, right? Because you're considering that particular person, how they will experience this particular holiday that you're giving away, how they are trying to kind of like get through this particular this competition, this long running competition with a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of money. So you know exactly how to kind of like titillate them, so to stimulate them in the right ways, right words that you're going to say, the right emphasis and again execution of the delivery of, man, also when you're, like I say, how to change your tone and your temperament, because you think of that one person that is hurting, that one person that is unemployed, that one person that got kicked out of their house, that one person that hasn't chatted or spoken to their mom in like 15 years. Like, how to talk to that one person. Please change your entire attitude to that one person as opposed to a group think, right, or a group approach. The balance of we and me allows you the sharing of thoughts, but at the same time, we want to relate to the listener's world. We want to draw on personal experiences, opinions, and observations to tell stories that the audience can relate to. So when we've taught you this in second year, we introduced that whole concept of being able to, once again, please start with them. So when I say you start a subject matter broadly, right? So it's inviting to that particular listener, and you will ask a question, you'll make a statement, you'll open it, you're talking openly, right? So that this person that's listening to you, as you are adding your opinion and more stats and more points of view, and they have followed you down your train of thought, that you're taking them in this particular link, this content piece, right? So at the end, when you finish and you say, call me now, SMS or text or WhatsApp or voice note, whatever it is, I don't know, right? They almost immediately, if they are active listeners, so again, within the bracket of active versus passive listeners, right? They are going to immediately send you an answer to the question that you've given them. Do you understand? Because they'll have an immediate, very unique and personal experience to share with you, right? So it's one thing to understand your audience's world, but quite another to actually relate to your listeners. And your first litmus test is how well you actually relate to people and the world around you. So do you have to be like everyone? No, but you got to understand that yes, whatever makes you a human being, whatever makes you, I say holistic, should at some or other point in many different aspects be quite like many other people that you might look at. Um, Again, how would someone react to the death of a loved one? How would someone react again to the fact that they can't find any work and they've been trying for over 1, 2, 3 years? I don't know. What types of conversations do you never want to have with your partner or with your friend or with a teacher or whatever it may be, right? Like you've got to think about all these things. Again, everyone has I wouldn't say, I suppose, career goals, but goals in life for sure. Everyone has that. And again, you look at your target market, you look at how are you in relation to this particular person? Are you like are you behaving like a normal human being at the end of the day, or are you exclusively like be behaving abnormally, right? Which is not the way that we do life. Great personalities bring the audience to the experience through their words, their attitude, and their presentation. All right. So this is, again, this word empathy is going to plague you because I'm going to constantly, and the industry will constantly keep on going on about empathy, 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 and what kind of currency empathy is in terms of you being a very competent and a very successful on-air presenter, right? Or like I say, a broadcaster at the end of the day. You feel what your audience feels. You can see it from their eyes, but that's just an umbrella, right? You literally have to think about what questions they are asking, like what fights are they having, where are they crying in a corner, when are they emotionally stable, when are they emotionally broken, what does that look like, what does that feel like, how are other people seeing it? For example, how does celebration look in different to different people in different circumstances or situations? Like I can genuinely, like we can carry on and on and on because people are so complex. But the thing is that again, they're super interesting. People are super interesting, and there'll always be something to say because something will always be happening, and a person is always, like I say, they're when I say that they're always uniquely, exponentially special, right? I'm saying in whatever it is, or whatever it is, or however they are, uh, and whatever they're thinking, etc., blah blah blah, right? So it's not solving their problems, but putting yourself emotionally, psychologically, mentally into their shoes. Empathy may come more naturally for some personalities, but it is a skill that you have to sharpen, practice, review, and repeat, rinse, cycle, repeat. So you must test it out. You must see whether you are sympathizing or empathizing. Sympathy is going to get you a little bit of a cold shoulder. You won't be able to, people will not welcome you in easily into, like, tell me what's going on, but you'll get to that point and they'll open up quite easily because they're comfortable with you. They know that when they share what's going on, they know that you will understand from their perspective what is actually going on. Opportunities make the audience feel more important nearly every day. Be alert and use them when you find them. These opportunities of connection, right? That you'll see in a moment. We'll just do a class discussion. I'll give you a break right after this particular slide, and then we'll do part 2, right, of this lesson. Right, let's close up with this. On-air talent is only as good as the last show or your last link, right? It is that dramatic and that's cool, and that'll kill you on air, and it'll kill you for the day. Let's say if you really had a bad show, something bad happened or whatever it is, it'll kill you till you do another show, and maybe you come out much better for it, right? But it is, people will judge you because they can and they should on the last show or the last link that you did. And that's fine. I said that's fine because you can always come back from that. Like, just have focus, presence, and passion. Like we said there before on the storytelling slide, great entertainment has nothing to do with perfection, right? But growing and applying yourself at the end of the day. Everything to do with the pursuit of excellence and knowing that you will never, ever do something that's perfect, be in a perfect situation, or live a perfect life, right? So that's fine. If you understand that for the rest of your life, you will never be 100% at anything, that's good, because you will constantly be better for that, right? Taking the audience for granted is one of the first signs that a show is beginning to lose healthy fear of failure, right? So it's imminent. You will fail. The show will crash and burn the moment you take your eyes off the listener, right, in every and any aspect. Just being on air for several years isn't enough. Longevity is no replacement for laziness or ignorance, okay? And you can, off the bat, like just you can think immediately of certain DJs that have been on air for many years that are just not good, just in general. Like, and you're saying, well, I mean, maybe you're not saying anything at all, which we said is the worst kind of response, right? But you won't miss them if they've gone, and you definitely are not like at a loss if you miss them while they're here either. Committing to success means leading a specific audience. It can be a demographic, psychographic, geographic target, but must include a broader sense of the nature of the audience from a lifestyle perspective, as you've heard many, many times over. Let's do the discussion, right? Okay. And then we can do, like I said, the break. We'll do a 15-minute break. So first, yeah, define a detailed understanding between empathy and sympathy, and when and why you would exercise both in everyday life, and how it is crucial to fine line the use of each of them in radio. So you're going to rinse cycle repeat what I said to you about empathy, but sympathy we still use. We still must have sympathy as a human being. Certain situations call for it. What type of situations is sympathy the correct approach? So, any suggestions? Jewel, you can see there's someone on hold. So Natanda's on hold. Go ahead, Jewel. Tell me when sympathy. What is sympathy?
Um, I think sympathy is your way of feeling, not feeling sorry per se, but understanding someone else's um what struggle or whatever they're dealing with, and being able to I don't know.
Sympathize.
Yeah.
So sympathy is one level away from empathy. Because let's say uh, you're nearly there, but I'm afraid that you're going to like branch over to empathy if you carry on with that particular train of thought, right? Because yeah, it's just one step away. I mean, you're correct, so that's cool. Um, the thing is, with sympathy, you must think about situations, right?
Mm.
Um, if you've never lost someone, like let's say no one close to you has ever died, for example, right? It is very hard for you to empathize with someone who has. Agreed?
Yeah, of course.
Right. In what ways? So how would you approach so we would like to talk to someone, let's say on air, that has lost I don't know, whatever it is, like husband, wife, whatever it may be, right? Son, daughter, because it's newsworthy. Agree? Right. How would you, in what way do you sympathize without sounding patronizing or disconnected with this particular person? What what ways?
I mean, the first thing I would do is not try and put myself in their shoes because, I mean, I can only imagine what they're going through. So never try and think of how it would feel if I lost
Mm.
maybe a wife or do you get me? So that's the first thing.
So safe way is always to have them do the setup, agree, before you make an assumption, because like you said there, you don't want to you need to probe. You need to obviously find out more, right? But
Mhm.
maybe you don't have a direct reference point. Does it make sense? Like a point of reference. It's good to, let's say, have them say, listen, yeah, this is what's obviously getting them the most. This is what was the experience, kind of like in a nutshell. This is what they're crying about right now, or this is what they cry about constantly. The one thing that you understand. Let's get what like which aspects of uh, is it the voice? Is it the laugh? Is it the chats? Is it the whatever it is that this person misses the most? You understand that breaks them down. I'm saying it causes the person to break down. Whatever it is, we need to get into their mind. You understand, without again sounding patronizing, dismissive, whatever it may be. Okay, let's choose another one. So, for example, give me an experience you've never experienced, something you've never experienced, for example. Can be anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
I've never broken a bone or I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good example. It's for yeah, it's a good example. Right. Okay. And I mean, so let's say someone comes in, yeah, I must always go to extremes, but let's say someone's paralyzed from, let's say, an accident, whatever it may be, you would definitely go the sympathetic approach, sensitive approach, agree, right? Okay. And again, not assume that you know anything about the situation unless they tell you. Okay. Agreed?
Of
Make a
course.
little bit. Okay. Let's try. Let's try the second question. Using examples, now contextualize where and why you think a radio broadcaster must know the difference where the skill set is applied in doing their job well, and how you suggest ways of sharpening your grasp of exercising sympathy and empathy. So let's focus on that part here. Well, how will you practice exercising sympathy and empathy? Go ahead.
Um,
Basic ways. Don't think big. Just be like,
I mean, listening to,
yeah, but really listen. Yeah, listening.
yeah,
Yes. Actually taking in what people say, how they feel, what they care. Like I say, why they're talking about what they talk about. Listening is an inclusive thing. You understand? You want to literally, yeah. And listening is a great way, again, of knowing how to carry a conversation. It is probably the best way, right? And the only way that you should carry a conversation, because they will constantly give you information as to what your next question will be about or your next comment. Agreed, right? So, so yeah, listening is one thing. How does that help with okay? How does that help you with sympathy or empathy?
I mean, them giving me more information about their experience would obviously kind
Right.
of add to my I don't want to say general knowledge, but my prior
Yes.
assumptions or whatnot that I have about that certain experience. So them feeding me that information kind of helps
Yes,
to
very good. Yeah, it's exact. Yeah, continue.
um I don't know.
What was the last thing? I'm not going to carry on about it. Last question on this, and then you can take a break. What was the last situation that you empathized with someone? Like just the most recent story, situation. I don't know. Like with any particular person that you interacted with, that you felt a sense of empathy. Doesn't have to be dramatic.
I mean, that's why I'm kind of, I don't know, because the situation that I have is a friend losing uh their second parent recently, so I don't think
Uh,
empathy applies
yeah.
to that situation.
True, definitely. I mean, uh, definitely. Can you? Yeah. Again, it's a death. You can't. I can push empathy to a logic to a certain extent where you can, like you say, you can imagine, but it's not. You can't put yourself in their shoes directly unless you, like I say, unless you have more context, right? To go forward with that. Simple things. Again, for example, like someone, you might hear someone's conversation while you're standing in line somewhere, or you're traveling in public transport, or you're sitting out in the, I'm just going to call it the piazza. I don't know what that area is called, but you understand there where I say where the cafeteria is, right? And you're hearing someone else's conversation, just observe a little bit, you understand? And say, oh yeah, no, I can definitely, like, I know where this person's coming from, or I know exactly, like I know exactly what that conversation, that situation is like. Um, all right. Okay. Um, how long do you want the break for? Like 10.
Uh, 10 + 2 will be fine. But I do have
10.
a question though. Yeah, 10
Yeah,
plus
no.
2.
So you want a 6 minute break?
Sure. So the question is it safe to say empathy would apply if you, for instance, I've lost a parent and there's someone else that has, or the caller is calling in, sharing that story, and I have prior knowledge or experience
Mhm.
regarding the situation, right? So which one of the two would apply if I have that experience? Would empathy or sympathy apply?
Empathy would be because you can directly, it's gonna, all the scars are gonna come back. Do you understand? I'm saying they're gonna hurt again. Agreed? Right. So you're gonna feel a very, be careful, like I say, in terms of like that, it's quite sensitive. No, let's make it applicable. I'm saying so you can apply it in any situation. At any one point, you know when someone makes it about themselves. Does that make sense? So when there's a continuation in conversation between you and somebody else, right? Just let's take in a normal conversation, right? You know yourself when either they or you are making it more about yourself and not about a dual interaction. Agree? Right? So if I apply that to, let's say, you trying to connect with, you would be like, in my situation, I know one of the most difficult things was, for example, like listening back to the voice notes that obviously you have saved on your phone. And it's something that I've avoided from doing for now. It's the second, or it's going on the third year. And I genuinely don't know what it's going to look like. Should I play them? Or if I don't, right? But I know it's not going to be somewhere I'm ready for. Your situation is very particular to that. Maybe you can, because I know that you can share some advice. Maybe tell me what what happened when you, like, I don't know, you understand? You understand? Maybe they did the same kind of thing. Maybe they uh, watched a home video, or watched, obviously, like when I say home video, stuff on their phone or whatever it may be, or they do it maybe regularly and they've got a healthy attitude towards it. It's maybe helpful. Like, you understand? So you can bring yourself in, but you're making it about them. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. It does.
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
make sense.
So you don't, yeah, because again, we do, I know it's contradictory. I get that. When I say to you, the show has to be centered around you. You are the center of attention, right? But the only way a jock becomes like someone that anyone wants to listen to is if they make the show anything but anything about anything but them. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just go to 1:15. Right. Just to take a couple of minutes here. So you just stop this recording and start a new one. Is that okay?
Yes.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Just back at 1:15. All right. Thanks.